Black Ops 7 is the weirdest Call of Duty launch that I've witnessed, and I've seen a lot of them. I'm 56 years old. That just isn't funny. That's just not a funny bit. Who wrote this? Like, the absolute hate and contempt for this game, even before its actual reveal, only snowballing bigger toward its actual full release, is like nothing I've ever seen before. The game is currently sitting at a franchise low 1.7 user score over on Metacritic. That is out of 10. Jesus fucking Christ. And meanwhile, over on Twitter or Reddit or Instagram or really whatever social media platform that you use to get your own opinions thrown back at you, there's nothing but constant posts calling this game lazy and AI generated. And it's just crazy to me because most of what I'm seeing online just straight up doesn't match my own experience with the game at all. And I've just kind of been quietly playing it in the background over the last week, hoping and praying that the mob doesn't find out and order a fucking hit out on me. But real quick, I've been having a hard time trying to figure out what tone to use for this video, because I desperately want to talk about this. Although I don't want this to come off as preachy or condescending, while loading it up with just the right amount of jokes to remind people that this is a video game at the end of the day, not politics. We can chill a little bit, guys. Although, that said, I do feel like I should at least put out my true and honest opinion on the game real quick, just so that you guys kind of know where I stand. And I even wrote it down so that I make sure I get it right.
I think that Black Ops 7, despite some obvious flaws and trends within the franchise itself, is one of the best playing Call of Duty games in the last decade. Yes, the campaign is inexcusably bad, and the $70 price tag can be hard to justify at this point, but as someone who's never purchased a COD for its campaign specifically, I feel I've already gotten my money's worth from multiplayer and zombies. If you want it to sound more formal, casual, or include additional details, just let me know and I can
that last part wasn't important. Don't worry about it. Just cross the last bit off. Oh jeez. Oh, sorry. You caught me napping. Oh, one of the most important things about life is sleep. And I'm gonna be real with y'all, I think I've been doing it wrong my entire life. But thankfully, that's where today's sponsor, Manta Sleep, comes in with their comfortable and breathable sleeping masks, designed to keep all light out so you can finally nap in peace. I got lights all around me right now to actually do this thing, but let me tell you, I can't see anything. I have no idea if I'm in frame anymore. I hope I am. And as someone who really struggles to get and then stay asleep most nights, the combo of their Pro Mask to block out light and White Noise Machine to block out sound creates the perfect audio-visual blackout to make sure that I get the absolute best sleep possible. And right now, Manta Sleep is actually offering 15% off site-wide, plus their free holiday recharge kit from now until the 27th. So use my link down in the description or pinned comment to check them out, and be sure to use my code REPLAYMODE at checkout. So thanks so much to Manta Sleep for sponsoring this video, and now right back to the video. So the first thing that I want to do here is actually take a step back and see if we can figure out exactly why the vibes are so off this year. And I've gotten it down to, thankfully, 3 things. And first is competition. Since 2019, Call of Duty really hasn't had a direct competitor that was actually giving them a run for their money. And just about every, quote, COD killer that could potentially rise to the occasion just tended to fall face first into the dumpster fire that was FPS gaming in the early 2020s. You had Battlefield 2042, which was hated for abandoning its core mechanics in favor of modern trends. There was Halo Infinite, hated for launching in an incomplete state and also abandoning its core mechanics in favor of modern trends. And then there was X-Defiant, which Actually didn't end up really doing any of that, but it was built upon a bunch of Ubisoft IPs that no one really cared about, and it effectively died within like 2 months or something like that. Oh shit, do you guys remember Concord? That one died too, within like, what, 10 days or something. These last few years have been just utter dog shit for FPS games, man. And that led to Call of Duty shifting its competitive focus over to games like Fortnite, as they were both some of the biggest gaming powerhouses on the planet. And let me be clear, Fortnite is technically a competitor to Call of Duty, but only in the same way that the NFL is technically competing with ABC's 911 because they happen to both be viewable on your smart TV. That doesn't mean that they should start incorporating the B-NATO into the Super Bowl halftime show next year. That would be actually kind of fucking cool now that I'm thinking about it. And so, without any direct competition, Call of Duty began leaning more and more into the things that Fortnite was doing. Things like grindy battle passes and flashy crossovers that didn't really fit in with the traditional COD vibe, which only served to open the door and set the stage this year for Battlefield to make its triumphant return to the exact gamers that Call of Duty started to alienate. And then piggybacking off of that, you had a game like Arc Raiders delivering the perfect 1-2 punch straight into the exhaust vent of Call of Duty's Death Star. And at this point, I'm kind of out of metaphors, but I think you know what I'm saying. Call of Duty wasn't prepared to face actual competition on their home turf anymore. And that actually brings us into the second reason for COD's failure this year, and that's just simply franchise burnout. See, Call of Duty has always had the criticism that it was the exact same game every year, but these last few years have been extra similar. BO7 actually marks the 7th game in a row with the same seasonal rollout, including a battle pass, drip feeding out, returning maps and modes, the same operator and weapon build systems with no real innovation to the class itself, launching with the exact same 5 game modes, plus 1 or 2 new ones that'll get abandoned immediately, and an increasing focus on small map grinding year after year. Put bluntly, people just feel burnt out on doing the same thing over and over and over again. And combine all of that with the attention being put on making cool store bundles to draw in that Fortnite crowd, and decaying the visual identity of the actual game itself, and you have something that doesn't even feel like it was made to be enjoyed anymore. And lastly, I feel like this game has gotten a particularly bad rap in like the broader gaming community in general this year. Like, that boss fight of Harper at this point is so recognizable that I know people who have never touched the game in their lives hitting me up like, what the fuck is going on with Call of Duty now, dude? And honestly, I don't have much of an answer to tell them besides, I don't know, next year's gonna be cool. And by and large, their entire exposure to this game begins and ends in Skibbity Toilet Boss Fight, which is both incredibly hilarious and incredibly frustrating. And now, I know that there are tons of incredibly talented individuals working on this game day in and day out, and they are likely being overworked to the bone in order to get one of these games out every single year for the last 20. But I refuse to believe that the majority of the devs actually on the ground didn't know that this fucking boss fight was going to be the only thing that anyone would talk about. And not in a good way. They had to have known that it wasn't good. Otherwise, they would have marketed it. This is the first game, to my knowledge at least, to not get any actual, like, uncut footage of the campaign released as part of the virtual press tour. It was like they were hiding it from everyone, which in my opinion just served to make it worse. It made it feel like a rug pull when people assumed that this game's story would be like any other Call of Duty's story, when it simply wasn't. And that led to mass disappointment. Like, the co-op campaign itself isn't great by any means, don't get me wrong, but it's definitely not 1.7 out of 10 bad. So much of the hate for it was because they didn't do a very good job of establishing expectations before going into it. And also the $70 price tag for objectively less new content than last year. That definitely played a part of it too, don't get me wrong. And so I guess I do kind of want to end off this video quick by saying it's a damn shame, dude. Because outside of the campaign, none of the issues that I outlined here are even necessarily issues with Black Ops 7 specifically. And in a lot of cases, this game seems to actually be shifting the series away from those issues. Skill-based matchmaking is gone. And I know that there's some talk about them secretly having turned it back up or something, but in my experience, I didn't notice any difference between the beta version and this version, so I'm just taking it for how it exists to me right now. That's all I can actually go off of. The maps this year are all solid and not dominated by these teeny tiny maps that make me want to gargle bleach. Treyarch has actually had some incredible communication so far, with weekly dev talks and quick patches. Zombies is fantastic this year, with Ashes of the Damned finally feeling like a classic map again, with a map-specific mechanic that I hope continues into the next one. I hope that each map actually feels different this year, and so far, we're off to a good start. It feels like the parts of this game that are actually under devs' control are getting a ton of care and attention this year, finally addressing years worth of community feedback all at once. But it just hasn't moved the needle an inch. Now, I've never worked in game dev, but I did work for an animation studio for almost a decade. And one thing that I will always remember from my time there is that sometimes, unfortunately, you can be halfway through a big project like this and start getting a certain bad vibe about what you're putting out. And it could be something completely outside of the creative lead's control. You know, it can be a mandate coming down from corporate, or an exec with their finger in the pie. It could be a budget or a timeline issue. Things that you know will echo through the entire project and basically make it shit no matter what. An anchor weighing the whole thing down. And so you do the best that you can on that tiny little part of it that's yours and ship it off, hoping that whatever that anchor is doesn't stop the boat fully in its tracks. And unfortunately here, it kind of did. And that just sucks, because again, there is so much good work in this title, it's just being weighed down by this giant Michael Rooker-shaped anchor. So anyway, that's about where I'm at. I'm gonna go back now to making dumb little videos about dumb little details in games, including, but not limited to, the current Call of Duty Black Ops 7. Because like I said, I am actively enjoying this game, and I will continue to do so, and if you do too, that's great, and if you don't, that's also cool. Opinions are welcome. I hope this video wasn't too preachy. I was going for, not that, but sometimes it just happens naturally. It's just who I am. I'm sorry. Channel members are listed all around me. If you want to become a channel member, hit that join button down below. Oh, and thank you so much for 30,000 subscribers, by the way. I never actually said that in a video, but like a few days ago we hit 30K, and then like the next day we hit 31, and we're pretty much almost there to 32, which is a crazy number. I don't know how to count that high, but hey, I'm gonna try. So huge shout out to y'all. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!